Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Xindian.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started.
Hey guys, did our interview with Lynn spark your interest in dragon boat racing?
If so, you can find out more about the sport in this episode.
From its historical beginnings to where you can go to test out whether paddling is for you.
Marianne also shares how she got up close and personal with the Keelung River when she joined the dragon boat team. Lynn, can you give our listeners like a general introduction to this sport?
The sport has an extremely long history, and this is part of Chinese culture. The races, it's actually, Dragon Boat Festival is one of the three big festivals in China and Taiwan. The other two being Mid-Autumn Festival, which we just had, and Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. So the Dragon Boat Festival is held on the lunar May 5th, so the 5th month, 5th day, based on the moon calendar. So it shifts on the Gregorian calendar. Sometimes it's in May, sometimes it's in early June. And the races themselves start off as a ceremony to supplicate the god of water to prevent floods and natural disasters and things like that. And then eventually there was a famous poet named Xindian in 290 BC who was trying to convince the leaders to govern in a certain way, and he was being ignored and he was depressed, so he committed suicide, jumping in the Milo River and drowning himself. And of course the people loved Xindian, and so they were trying to keep the fish from eating his body. So they were paddling out in their boats, splashing in the water, beating drums, throwing zongzi in there. And from that's how the sport of dragon boat racing was born.
Okay, go on. I'm listening. I'm being a very good student right now.
Yeah, so the biggest difference between dragon boat racing and other racing sports is that the main thing isn't, how strong or how fast or how much endurance you have. I mean, those are obviously important, but more important is like your teamwork, your technique, your synchronization. Because like in other races, whether you're racing cars or bicycles or horses or whatever, usually the faster you go, the more likely you are to win.
Right.
But with the dragon boat, because there's up to 20 people or maybe even more paddling together, you need to be in synchronization, because it's not so important to be fast, it's more important to be in time. Otherwise, you're going to clash paddles, you're going to disrupt the flow of the boat, and you're going to slow your team down. So that's probably the biggest difference between dragon boat racing and other types of races.
I heard Xindian did some research on dragon boat racing and how it differs.
There are a lot of different positions, different roles. Like there are normally 20 paddlers on a boat, right?
For standard boats, there are usually 20 seats. Whether they're all filled depends on the race. For the national competition we just had, the standard boats were 20 paddlers. Like Taipei City has the 20 seats in the boat, but they don't always fill it up. Sometimes they have 18 paddlers. New Taipei City only has 16, so there's 4 empty seats.
And it's a requirement. Like the number of people, like they require you to only have, let's say, 18 or 16 people.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Go on.
So the different races will have different requirements in terms of how many paddlers are on the boat. The small boats usually seat 10, and that's almost always going to be 10 paddlers. But for the large boats, it can vary from 14 to 16 to 18 to 20, sometimes even more. So there are larger dragon boats as well. There are boats that seat 22, 24, etc.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what position are you in?
So I am usually a paddler. I prefer to be a paddler because that's the most fun. There's 3 major positions. There's being a paddler, there's being the drummer, and there's being the steersperson, the person who controls the direction. And I can do all of the positions, but I definitely prefer being a paddler. The cool thing about Taiwan, because dragon boating is so rooted in the culture and the traditions, is that like the Taipei City races, they still have the traditional role of the flag catcher. Now most international competitions won't even have this role anymore. They just, whoever crosses the finish line wins. But for
okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool.
But for the Taipei, like the traditional style of racing, there's a person who gets onto the head of the dragon and pulls a flag out of a buoy when they reach the finish line. And if they miss the flag, then that means other teams have a chance to perhaps beat you, because then they don't stop your time until the tail of your boat crosses the finish line. And Marianne has a cool story about falling in the river when she was flag catcher.
Wait. So what happens if the flag catcher falls into the river?
Usually they add a penalty. So before it was automatic disqualification, and then later on they changed the rule to where it adds like 10 seconds or something to your time, which basically means you're probably going to lose.
Yeah. So on that note, I was actually a flag catcher for our team. Thank God it was was just a demonstration race because I got too excited. So I crawled up to the front of the boat where the dragon head is, and I reached out, and I reached too far because the other boat was really close, and I didn't want us to lose. So I reached for the flag, I got it, and then straight fell into the river. And it was the Keelung River at that. And at that time, it wasn't as nice or as clean. So
it's still not clean. So yeah, the fact that you're alive today is very, very
and
good.
I'm not a mutant.
That was in 2003, and that was the year that everything got canceled because of SARS. And so yeah, the Sherlin Race was like an exhibition fun race just so that people could get on the water because everything was canceled. Yeah.
Thank God it's only like a exhibition race and it wasn't an actual race, because then our team would have had a penalty.
Yeah.
And I would have felt so bad. But well, it's okay because I joined the Dragon Boat team for the experience, and I can say that I experienced the whole thing in its completeness or in its entirety.
Correct. Very true.
Okay.
Do you want to share the experiences of participating in international competitions? Do you see any major differences between Taiwan and other countries?
I paddled a long time, but almost all of my experience paddling has been in Taiwan. So I didn't start competing abroad until 2015. My first race was in Hong Kong and Repulse Bay. But most of my international competitions have all been in Asia. So, I paddled in Hong Kong, I paddled in China, I did Thailand for the World Championships, I did Malaysia. I've never paddled in like North America or South America or Europe. So my view on international competitions is very, very slanted towards what Asia has. That being said, the IDBF, the International Dragon Boat Federation, sets a large amount of rules and regulations determining how races are held. So from what I've seen competing abroad, the standards are pretty fixed. Boat sizes, paddle lengths, size of the paddle blade, the area, like all that is strictly regulated. So there aren't that many differences per se in the international competitions that I've participated in so far versus what I've done in Taiwan. I think the biggest difference in Taiwan paddling is the, like I said, Dragon Boat Festival itself. It's still very rooted in tradition. So Taipei City uses these big, heavy wooden dragon boats that you don't see pretty much anywhere else in the world.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone else is using the really lightweight, like fiberglass boats or whatever. And Taiwan's still using these big, heavy, like
Traditional
trains.
boats. Yeah.
And, they sell the flag catcher for Dragon Boat Festival because, that's part of the tradition.
I hope they keep that. Well, okay, I fell in the river. There's a slight bit of danger to flag catching, but
I think it adds a lot to it. I love that
agree.
aspect of it.
Me too.
So.
Even as a spectator, right? You get an adrenaline rush trying to see someone actually reach for the flag.
Right.
Although, of course, you still get the same, I guess, watching two boats compete, but it's still different, I would say. So I hope they keep that.
Yeah. Especially, like, you see the boats cross the finish line. They're like neck to neck. It's like 0.01 seconds difference. You can't tell who won, but when you see the flags go up, like, you can usually tell.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, which one went up first. And it's like, it's like I said, it's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, it sounds like it's this modern versus traditional, right?
A little bit, yes.
Would you say that's the main difference?
Probably, yes. Yeah.
So I'm curious, are there any educational program for young children, like in Taiwan, if they want to start a career like Dragon Boat racing?
You mean becoming a professional athlete?
Yeah.
This is also something that I guess a follow-up, because I also don't know. Is it recognized as a professional sport?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, Mr. Canoe might be the closest thing to, professional. Like, their job is to paddle and train and, represent Taiwan abroad.
But it's not like a full-time thing, is it?
As far as I know, no, but I could be wrong.
Because we have professional athletes like in badminton and tennis and all, but not for Dragon Boat then.
There might be, but again, I it's not my area of expertise. I'm more of a hardcore amateur recreational. I love the sport, but I don't know about making a career out of it. It's like for like kids getting involved in the sport, there's no government sponsored training camp, for example, for that kind of stuff. I know Coach Feng Jiantang, he used to run the New Taipei City races when it was still held at Bitan, and he actually still works with the Taipei City government to hold steering courses so that teams that need to train a new steersperson to control the boat can get someone to go through a course and learn how to steer properly. And he's held a couple couple of activities for kids, to try to get them involved and get them started at a young age and interested in the sport. But, those are all him volunteering his time and not, government sanction or anything like that. In Taiwan, most of the competitions, you have to be, I think, 15 before you can even compete. So we don't have the young, like age categories or divisions that like countries like the US or China probably have. There's just not enough people to have those kinds of races. So I think in part Taiwan's small population hinders it from expanding to that level that we would love to see otherwise. Yeah.
Are you recruiting paddlers?
Do I hear Xindian volunteering?
Yeah.
You want to join?
Yeah.
Come join us.
I'm
Considering
willing to try.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Welcome.
Okay.
Definitely welcome to try. We're always recruiting. We're always needing new paddlers. Like my team has shrunk over the years. People leave and go abroad or return home and do other things. So yeah, I mean, try it out. Give it a try. My team practices at Bitan. It's one of, probably a dozen different teams that are practicing there. If you go to Xindian, between 6 a.m. and 12 noon, you'll find many teams there. And like our team, we always have extra paddles, extra life jackets to give people who want to try it out a chance to do so. Most teams are willing to accept people that want to do walk-ons. Yeah. I mean,
Really?
it depends on if they have the equipment, obviously, because, a lot of the teams outside, I paddle with a lot of different teams at Bitan. So my main team is Team Max, and we always have extra paddles and life jackets. Other teams might not necessarily have them, but if you talk to them, they'll definitely work with you to get you set up so that you can join them at the next session. And again, like if you stop by on a Saturday and they don't have the equipment, I can almost guarantee 100% they'll say, come back tomorrow, we'll bring you a paddle and we'll bring you a life jacket and we'll let you try it out because it's fun and it's exciting and it's a team sport. You need people. You need people involved. There's a lot of different teams. There's hardcore teams, there's recreational teams. So depending on what you're interested in, I'm sure I can probably help you find a team that suits what you want.
Okay.
We hope you enjoy our interview with Lynn.
We end today's program with a sound clip for you to get a feel what it's like to be in a dragon boat competition. Imagine you're in the dragon boat, your whole body buzzing with nervous anticipation as you wait for the race to start. Then you hear it, the call to get ready.
Hearing the gunshot, you start paddling, pushing hard, straining your muscles as you fight the inertia of the boat.
The drum beats, thudding in a regular rhythm, a reminder, keeping everyone in time.
You dig the paddle deep into the water to pull the boat forward with each motion, repeated by your fellow paddlers on the boat.
After the initial burst of speed, you and your teammates settle into a steady rhythm.
After a while, you feel your muscles tiring, the paddle getting heavier by the minute. The team captain yells,
Come on, harder!
It's the middle point of the race.
In the background, people on the bank are cheering excitedly.
You hear the race commentators announce the remaining distance to be covered.
They mention which boats are in the lead, and you realize your team is ahead.
Your captain pushes everyone to paddle harder.
加油！Push it!
Now everyone on the boat is yelling out encouragement.
加油！
You are almost at the finish line. Let's go!
Come on! 4、3、2、1、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。Up, up, up!
With the command up, up, you raise your paddle, signaling the end of the race.
Again, this is Qing'en.
And Mary Ann. See you guys next Sunday. Bye.